even feel like this is going to the movies anymore. This is just like I'm watching episodes of a TV show.
Yeah, it is. Like, I didn't think about it until we went to another one of those advanced screenings, and the guy was doing his intro for it, and he was like, "This is Marvel Cinematic Universe Part 17, Phase 3, Number 2,
Are we really
Thor
at that
3,
point?
The Dark World."
I had to
whatever.
think about it because I was like, all right, there's 3 Iron Man movies, there's 3 Thor movies, there's 3 Captain America movies, then there's 1 Hulk movie, there's 1 Ant-Man movie, 1 Spider-Man movie, 2 Avengers movies,
Black Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther coming out, so that's 9 movies. 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, so that's 11.
So you don't count Ang Lee's Hulk?
No, I don't count that as part of this.
You don't count the Raimi Spider-Mans?
No.
You're counting, like,
The Marvel, I'm
like
starting with Iron Man. Starting with
Iron Man.
Yeah, the universe they
Did you
built.
count the Incredible Hulk with
Yeah.
Ed?
Yeah, I counted that because there's 1 Hulk movie. What else is there? Are there? 1 Doctor Strange movie.
Oh yeah, that's
so we're
right.
At 13.
Did you
movies
count
there.
Guardians of the Galaxies?
Yeah, both of those.
Are you counting future ones like Captain Marvel's coming out?
No, I didn't go that
What about
far.
Avengers 4?
Dang, I forgot about Captain Marvel.
Are you seriously going to make a Shazam movie?
How about Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about like how many have I seen so far over the last 10 years.
Yeah, so let me think. I need my pen to get
Yeah,
the plot for this.
not to mention like the other stuff that's loosely connected to it, like
So there's
6 seasons of Netflix shows.
Yeah.
And
so there's
that's right.
3 Iron
And then Marvel Agents of
Alright,
S.H.I.E.L.D.
so there's 3
Iron Men, 3 Captain Americas, 3 Thors,
1 Hulk,
1 Hulk,
1 Doctor Strange, 1 Ant-Man,
Do we count 2
1
Ant-Mans?
Spider-Man. Well,
I'm just saying
we're
that's
not
what
counting
I've seen so
okay.
far.
yeah, Spider-Man with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
2 Avengers movies and 2 Guardians movies. So that's...
And we're not counting Black Panther because we haven't seen that yet. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 14, 17 freaking movies.
There's this guy at work who I worked with. He used to be an investigator. And he was pretty funny. He had never seen any Marvel movies at all. And he went to see Spider-Man with one of the guys at work, and he, like, I don't know if he loved it or what, but that made him want to see all the Marvel movies. So he literally had this list printed out next to his desk, and every day I'd walk by and I'd see one more crossed off.
Because that's one of the deals is I've noticed is none of the Marvel movies have I ever gone back and rewatched. I've never rewatched any of them.
Really? We have, like, Marvel weekends where we're like, oh, let's watch Avengers. Oh, let's watch Captain America. We just get into it.
I've watched Guardians again. Well, I saw them in theaters. I haven't really watched any of them on, like, at home again.
Yeah,
Because I don't own any of them. If I owned them, I probably would.
There's some
Other than I rented Avengers 2 to watch it again.
That's pretty good. We did Avengers 2. Avengers 2 was good. It was fun seeing them together again. It was not in any way bad. It was just not as good as number 1.
Yeah, I just didn't think it was the first one. But
I really like that James Spader was in it, although I will say that Ultron was a pretty weak villain.
they made Ultron. Well, that's what was disappointing for me. I thought they made Ultron a lot lamer than he could. That could have been a really good story.
Yeah, I remember reading about it. I was like, oh, that sounds fucked up. What are they going to do?
Yeah, like the Age of Ultron comic is like crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like in the Age of Ultron comic, he like literally takes over.
Yeah, I mean, he's the internet, right?
Yeah.
He's the fucking internet. Think about that. The internet as a villain. Alright, so Fantastic Planet. So, all I knew going into this was that it was an animated movie and it uses really weird animation style. And the soundtrack was kind of depressing.
You thought it was depressing?
The opening, probably, 5 minutes of it, I thought the soundtrack was kind of like, it's all minor and depressing, like desolate.
Yeah, it's the kind of that European kind of psychedelic kind of stuff they like to do. I mean, it reminded me a lot of last time we recorded, I talked about Fabio Frizzi and like the Italian horror movie like music. And it's kind of that same genre.
Mm-hmm. I like the soundtrack. I was listening to it today while I was cleaning my house.
But would you call it progressive rock or anything close to progressive rock?
I don't think I would, no. But I'm not really a music guy.
I could see one of those weird, like, Yes album covers that would go along with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This movie's like a Yes album cover. The art kind of reminded me of, I gotta remember, I think it's the Miles Davis album, Live Evil, or something. I don't know if you ever saw the art.
I haven't, no.
I'm gonna bring it up on my phone while we're talking.
Mm-hmm. So, kind of reminded me of Terry Gilliam, too.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, the stuff that was done by Terry Gilliam on Monty Python, as well as like the work that they did in Yellow Submarine. Like, there was definitely some stuff from like, like when what's her name? Twa, is that her name? Is it Twa or Twa? I
don't remember.
Tiwa?
Tiwa, yes.
But when Tiwa, whenever she would reach down to grab Ter, the main human or Olm, it made me think of the blue glove from Yellow Submarine.
Oh yeah. You're talking in the beginning, right?
Yeah,
that was good.
So I guess we can go through the plot here a little bit. Yeah, so if you guys have never seen Fantastic Planets, if I could easily describe it, I would just say it was awesomely weird. Incredibly weird movie, but really makes you think. Mm-hmm. So anyway, in the beginning, I think it starts off really depressing and dour. Like, it shows the mother running through the forest.
Yeah.
That, like, sad, like, wow pedal, wow, like, soundtrack. And then it kind of shows the mother getting, I guess, battered around like I don't even know, a little baby bird or something by these seemingly children, but they're like gigantic. Yep. So they're like it's this giant race called the Drags. They're kind of blue creatures with fins for ears. And
they look kind of like Abe Sapien from Hellboy.
Yep, with big red eyes and blank stares.
Big bulbous red eyes. Exactly. Lots of exposed breasts, which was kind of weird. Awesomely weird though. So
let's unpack that.
Emphasis on awesome.
Awesomely weird. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Lots of solitary boob action too, which I guess is like a French artistic choice there. I've seen that in a lot of paintings before.
Would you say it was awesomely artistic?
I don't know about that. I don't know if I'd use that word.
So this child, so the three kids kill the mother, and then you hear this crying. You're like, what the hell is that? And you realize, oh my god, she had a baby, a little baby pawing at the ground trying to survive, which is kind of sick and saddening to see, especially being a parent. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy, dark way to start the movie.
It's like a fucking baby is in the dirt, and then all of a sudden, luckily, this other female comes by, and it immediately shows a duality between these two races. There's like the mischievy kids who are really not evil, but they're just, getting into trouble, batting around some being that whatever's lesser than them. And then you get this little girl come over with her dad, and she's like, "Oh, it's her. Can I keep it?" And you kind of get the feeling of exactly what it's like to be, I guess, oppressed, or like inferior to another race, because you immediately feel for that mother and that baby who died, and then there's this huge oppressive race that's like looking down upon you.
Yeah, but and it goes into kind of how like they don't even see the humans or ohms as they call them as like even a sentient species. Yeah. They're just vermin. It's like rats or something.
Yeah, that part's kind of screwed up because there is that little part right around there where her dad Sin is talking to like his bro, and they're going over how like, oh, clearly there's some signs that these guys had some sort of civilization on their planet Terra.
And they're like showing this little brought them there as kind of animals.
Yeah, they're showing this. So it's not like they look at it. They're kind of like they look at us like animals just because we're less developed than
they don't give a shit we had a culture or anything.
In this movie,
our culture's like, I guess, primitive.
Did you feel like somebody should jump into the frame and say message like in Don't Be a Menace to South Central?
I did that while we were watching.
There was a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah. I don't mind those.
I'm guessing like it's post-nuclear Holocaust Earth. They fetched humans and brought them to this planet.
So this movie continues on, and it kind of shows us this oppressive culture, the Drags again. the blue guys with the fin ears and the red eyes. It shows their civilization and how they're like, it shows a government. They all sit and meet and they talk through things. They're not evil. They're not sitting there twiddling mustaches going, we have to mine the gold from all the planet. Yeah. They're just trying to survive. They have a government. They have kids. They have jobs. They have technology. And then you start to, and then from that point, it shows you their civilization, and then it shows the daughter kind of living and dressing this guy up, or the little kid, up in these little clothes and stuff, and it describes how the time is different for them, because, 15 of our years is one of their seasons, or years, or something like that?
A week even, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely live on a much slower time scale than us.
Right. Again, it kind of shows how different they are. Like, they're almost like smaller beings than the bigger immortal beings, kind of like how we are with ants or anything like that. So I think the movie's kind of does a really great job of putting you in the shoes of, holy shit, we're not in charge anymore. We don't rule this world anymore, So it shows this little girl taking these school lessons through this headset, and it just sits on her head, and she has all these images, I guess, flash in her head, and it describes and just gives kind of textbook history lessons, almost like in Fifth Element with her little screen that she watches.
Right.
But it's kind of a lot slower than that. It kind of gives you real school lessons.
You can't learn it all at once.
Yeah, it's not like the Matrix. Download it.
Yeah, I know Kung Fu. Man, that would have been a great twist.
The kid's show me drag civilization.
Yeah. That would have been if it was a Fantastic Planet 1999 remake. That would have been
with Michael Bay.
Pull up file K-12 and they'll learn karate and this down in the trailer.
I see it and I just keep wondering, did L. Ron Hubbard see this movie when he was out at sea back in the early 70s? Because it definitely, this learning technology shows up in Battlefield Earth.
Yeah,
I hate to imply that Admiral Hubbard might have been.
No, the Commodore.
The Commodore might have been taking.
Might get some people outside the door looking in with binoculars.
Or something. Just received a cease and desist letter.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That'd be.
But
sick.
they are pretty similar. Yeah. The drags are more complex than the cyclos. There's never a part where the drags are like, get these rat-brained man animals.
Well, as we get through, we might be able to come back to this. But let's let Chad kind of, describe more of what happens in this movie.
All right.
Here.
Endless options for renewal.
And then at this point, they're in the civilization, and then it kind of shows even more of the drag's life, or it shows how they're they spend most of their time meditating. It says that's their prime focus, this meditation. We really don't know what it's used for, though. We're just watching it happen, and I think we see her go to her first meditation. It's almost like her first communion or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I really like the camera work. This movie actually thinks about its shots. There's a shot where it's just an establishing shot of wherever the church is, quote unquote, and they're all walking to it. And you see tiny little figures walking, and then it shows how they're smaller than God or whatever. There's a hierarchy of.
Did you notice that some of the it almost looked like buildings look like they had gotten their inspiration on the art for how the buildings look from anatomical things. I think the building where they go to for that, something about it made me think of a human ear. Or something like that. It was just, there's a lot of very curved architecture, this movie, I think of it as curves and spikes. Everything is dome-ish or very, very curly, and then suddenly sharp spikes coming out of it.
Jason just showed me Miles Davis.
It's a live Evil record.
It just made me laugh.
It kind of reminded me of this movie.
Love me!
I never love me. I
Give
never
me love.
The buildings. I'll go back and watch.
So it shows her going to her first meditation, and what do they do when they meditate? Their eyes go blue. It just go blank. I don't know if they close. I guess they're closed their eyes then.
It's almost
it's like their essence is leaving.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
That's sort of also when they die.
Yeah. They go into almost. It made me think of astral projection. That's what I think they're doing. And
that makes sense.
Later, as Chad goes, we'll get further into what we think they're doing.
Yes. So their eyes go blue. Kind of looks like light just leaves them. The lights get turned off, I guess is another way to describe it if you haven't seen it. So, and then all of a sudden you see these red balls floating up, and you see their spirit or their essence floating around in it, and it kind of has this woo woo like soundtrack to go along with it. So like, it's all, I don't know, spiritual and circusy at the same time. And then that's it, I guess. It shows you the adults meditating too, and you see all these little limbs flapping around.
Well, it's that was an interesting part.
Yeah,
like
their bodies like shrink too. They become like smoke.
Like, I guess when you make spiritual progression or whatever, maybe you're actually
that's Thetan level 10 right there.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe like you're going from like
I was going to see another cease and desist
matter to energy or something. But it's I think it even says in the movie that like the drog or trog. I think the subtitles kind of were a little different sometimes, where it might have been a T or a D.
Yeah.
That they spend most of their time in meditation.
Yeah. That's what they said. They like they focus all their time on meditation, right?
Yep.
We don't know why.
It's like the most important thing of their, and it's also the transition from being a child to an adult, right?
Yeah.
She does it in her teenage years.
But really, like our main character, Terror, the human or Olm. What happens with him, Chad?
So he escapes. I forget how. You guys may have to refresh me on that. I forget his escape plan.
I think he just kind of leaves. Like I think the scene is he's like, Tiwa, she became a teenager. She lost her interest in me, so I made my escape. And there's like a shot of her coming into her room, and her little like Ohm house is turned over, and then there's a shot of him out in the field running away with her. And he's like, I took her headset, and he's like running out in the forest with the big like nougat plants or whatever they are dripping like dripping ectoplasm or something on him.
And it has the weirdest sound effects and like in music with it too. I can't even like place where these sound effects are. There's like that. Like,
there's a lot of this noise. It's like boom.
That and there's like a lot of like squeakies like
yeah.
It's a very very weird movie. As I said, awesomely weird. So he comes upon like, well, actually no, they have this. They install this neck thing on him. I forgot, and it makes him control which way he's going. Remember that?
Yeah.
So that happens early in the movie. They install that necklace on him, and she has like this, literally like a joystick on a watch or something. And she can like pull him back, like reel him in like a fish.
Yep.
So so after he escapes, he's walking through the forest, and all of a sudden that thing gets activated, and he's flying backwards, and some woman saves him, cuts the thing off, and brings him to her tribe, and that's where they meet probably the best chief ever with that octopus on his head.
Oh, I love that guy. The chief and there was like the medicine man or something like that.
Right? This goes back to something earlier in the film where the Drog are complaining that while the tame house ohms that they own and treat like pets are harmless, that the wild ohms are actually fairly dangerous and that they're causing malfunctions with their machinery. Mm-hmm. They're causing all sorts of problems there. So this is our first real introduction to the wild ohms who are living like almost like cavemen out in plants and trees.
Yep. Tur's out there, he's wilding out.
Yep.
All the wild ohms.
Exactly. And
love.
Looking for love in all the right places.
Oh, he is. However, he's horrendously dressed. If you guys remember, he has some horrible costume on.
Dude, I wanted to talk about the outfits in this movie. Like, immediately when the movie was done, I was like, Google image search, Fantastic Planet cosplay. And I'm like, has anyone had the balls? No, but very few. There's like one lady on Google Images that has really good Trog makeup.
That'd be good.
But like, because I'm like, is anyone wearing these outfits that look like these, like wrestling singlets or like, the Trogs themselves, like Sin, he kind of reminds me of Pinhead, actually. Where he's wearing all black and he's got all these weird slits cut out.
Yeah. Terror was almost in like a Harlequin outfit with like wrestling trunks. Yeah, and huge shoes.
Those big pink, like puffy shoes.
And he's got like a poodle,
head,
poodle something puffs coming out of his head. It's almost like
it's because he's a pet. He's a pet.
Yeah, they dress him like a clown.
It looks like someone took a sweatpants and like stuffed the ends of them with socks and then put them on their head and they're like flapping around behind them.
Well, where Chad and I work, it's like Halloween is like out of control. So next year I need to be like, I have an idea for Halloween this year. Just send a bunch of pictures like that out.
Could be Tiwa with her nipples cut out.
Yeah. I don't think that's workable.
Well, I want to get some prosthetic sagging boobs so I can be like the chieftain of the other wild ohm tribe.
Oh man! Wow.
Awesomely weird, folks. Awesomely weird.
And I can run on the treadmill at lunch.
Flapping in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, we derailed there. Yeah, great outfits in this movie. Beautiful.
Awesome, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So they meet this chief guy, and I guess the typical, yeah, rookie, you don't know what you're doing out here, rookie, step in line, and they all that typical bullshit.
Yeah.
But then they realize that this guy has that learning machine or whatever, and it kind of teaches the people, and it educates the masses, and it gets everyone understanding what they're actually up against.
Yeah. They're kind of skeptical of the learning machine at first, though.
Right.
It shows the division, because you have, like, the local kind of shaman guy who controls, like, their mating even in the Ohm Society. Because there's a point where Tara wakes up in the middle of the night and he sees all the adult wild Ohms going off to a dead Trog head where the shaman almost pairs them up to mate. So this guy obviously sees the learning machine as a threat to his authority in, like, the village.
And when they get paired up, they turn on like a light, right? Like illuminate.
Well, it's like he feeds them this weird little, like, irradiated mutant-looking thing. Yeah. And then they glow.
I wonder if is it the same pair every night? I just got to ask. Same pair every night, or do you get a different partner every day?
I was with my friend Jared when we were joking that it's like this intergalactic swingers party.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man.
Drop your fifth mutant in the bowl and pick up another one.
You just kind of pop in a room. Hey, man, you got room for third?
Yeah, you got a certain glow about you. Like you just are about to get laid in our religious ceremony.
Like we were saying earlier, this movie has a lot of ideas in it that the plot just sort of touches on. Like, suddenly the writer's like, oh, and here's our critique of organized religion here, controlling your sex and your, and being opposed to actual knowledge or anything.
I was curious if that scene was also supposed to, like, kind of draw a connection with the Trogs society, where you're supposed to see something more like the Trogs and us. Kind of one of these deals where it's like they view themselves as so superior, but they really don't understand the Ohm culture. Yep. We view them as monsters, but they have no understanding of what they do, and we really have this, like, very similar, like, custom going on.
That's good. Yeah, that's cool.
That's what I started realizing by the end. That's why when I watched it a second time, it was awesome to see the difference it had, like, on my experience. I'll go into that a little bit at the end, I guess.
Okay, cool, yeah.
But so yeah, they get this learning machine, and they slowly start. I forget what happens. Does he like save someone, or he goes outside and something attacks or something? I remember there's like a couple attacks that happened in this village.
Well, so that was a scene I wanted to talk about. One of the attacks.
I meant like the animals, shit.
Like I think. Yeah, there was an animal.
Like the anteater with the tongue, and it was lapping up people out of the hole.
Yeah, so I don't know if they were using the learning machine. I think they were using it before that.
Okay.
I kind of think he just started having people use it, but I can't remember when they got.
Well,
I can't remember when the chief got fully on board. He got on board because they're stealing these Trog crates.
Oh yeah.
And he can use the machine to read the crates, and some of them have like dangerous stuff.
Yeah, because the Trog machine teaches them how to read.
Yeah.
Up until this point, they're an illiterate society.
Right.
But the anteater attack was a really weird scene, and I wanted to know what you guys got out of it, because it's like this crate. First, I thought that monster was awesome.
Yeah.
The monster shows up, he or she.
All the creatures are fucking awesome. Yeah. They're so fucking awesomely weird.
Oh yeah. Now, I have a whole list of, like, I wrote down, like, my favorite creatures. Weird Venus flytrap human face type thing.
Yes, I had a note about him too.
Flesh toned hippo poop emoji, which I really like.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah. So that one was like,
it's like this thing.
It's like this little bipedal thing, and he's got this lumpy body,
and he's in a cage. He's in a cage, and he's eating things.
That was a fly trap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but it's not eating. That thing was really disturbing.
Yeah,
it doesn't eat him. It just picks him out of the air and throws him.
I thought that guy represented evil. Everything else in the movie is kind of neutral, and that is evil.
Representing that, like, if you're in like bondage leads to cruelty. That, like, if you're like stuck in a cage or something, you just start to like devolve and become cruel.
That was what I was thinking was kind of like a fly trap thing, because they have these little tendrils out of its cage, and grab something and drop it on the ground,
and then laugh about it. Not drop it, but shake it violently, and then throw it on the ground. And
the hippo poop thing was like this weird lumpy thing with a hippo-looking head, and it comes up and there's like an egg that hatches. I'll bring a picture.
Oh yeah, I do remember that, and a lizard comes out or something, right?
Now, was Tara involved in fighting off the anteater, if I remember correctly?
Yeah.
And that's when
they use their. I think that's sort of like they use.
Is that when they bathe them in blood?
That was the part I was like, what did you guys get out of that? Because there's like this little perfect blood spout coming out of its head, and they all are kind of like down in the blood, like yeah.
Well, that's when they're like part of the tribe. They bathe him in blood, and he becomes part of the tribe. It's like his It's like his similar to earlier
his
in the
baptism
film, when Tiwa goes to meditation school. Now he's part of the Wild Ohm tribe, and he's no longer a house Ohm. I know that's
right.
He did so it's sort of like he did That's like a rite of passage.
Yeah,
that's
a
tribe.
That's what I see, and that's when they start to get really on board with him and the learning technology.
And then they let him visit the vagina snails.
Yeah, I had sewing bug monsters. But yeah, they sew him his fresh new.
Yes, they cover him in like a foam. And he's like,
That
whoa!
was one of the cool things. One of the things I really liked about this movie is it seemed like almost all the technology was organic, except the learning thing. I don't know if that was like a dead animal that they somehow got knowledge from.
Yeah.
But like almost everything in the movie seemed like biotechnology.
Yeah.
Like living, weaving machines.
Yeah,
And stuff.
well, they're just like these bugs that show up and they weave your clothes on you, but they never make legs.
No, they don't. It's too hot there for legs.
Who needs legs?
It's
well,
near the,
I'm living free.
It's
I'm
near
a wild home. I'm wilding out.
Yeah.
Until later when they get their quasi-futuristic clothing. But
I can wear my
that's
bikini
right.
or whatever. Or my singlet.
Your Borat singlet.
Yeah. Those are the three creatures I can remember. I know there were some others.
Yeah, that I was gonna bring up that guy. I think that guy. My opinion of him is that he represents evil in the world, and like they lock him up, and then he's not like free to like roam around. So like whoever it was locked him up because he actually represents the evil of the world.
Yeah, he's only in that one shot.
Yeah, but he leaves a resonance in your head. You know, you keep thinking of him.
Where were we? Learning machine.
So learning machine he gets closed. The tribe accepts him. Octopus Head still kind of shifty towards him, but you know he's like, all right, whatever, rookie, you can whatever, you can be part of the crew.
Well, about that point, you know, that's when it's revealed that there's other groups of wild ohms.
Yes, that's when they go. That's when they go on the raid, right?
It's you realize like the more Terra is learning from the machine, the more he's no longer bound by like the separations that they originally had, because originally the ohms are fighting amongst themselves for resources. But as the movie progresses, Terra is the one who's much more open to the idea of we have to get along with these other tree ohms or bush. They're the ones who live in the bush, because at this point all the humans are living in a park. Yeah. So you have to think of it that the Trog consider these guys basically just an infestation in their local park.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They even have, this comes up later, but they even have the Trog. What do they call it? They call it like cleansing or something.
De-ohming.
De-ohming, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They de-ohm every 3 or 4 cycles.
Which, yeah, as the film goes, what ends up happening is the Trog decide, because the Trog realize suddenly, they start to notice the ohms can read now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They're picking out the boxes that we...
Yeah, we need to do something about this. So they started de-ohming, and they come in with their house ohms or tame ohms to lead them.
I thought that was one of the most fucked up...
That would be an awesome cosplay. A fucking one of those tame gnomes with the mask on.
Yeah.
Just walk around like that.
Yeah, but I thought that was a disturbing concept.
They're exterminating the
ohms, and they have to go around in their
gas
mask.
Yeah, they're using
and
poison
sniff
gas.
out your buddies.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So, but no, you can continue from there. Like, what ends up happening to the ohms here? Like,
so the ohms get fucked up. I mean, I don't even know what percentage you would say. They fucking destroyed the whole shitload of them, right?
Yeah.
Like 90% or something.
Yeah, they do.
They get gassed. Like all these hockey pucks come out of the machines. You're like,
yeah. I'm so glad you can do that noise. I was like, I remember that was the part where Stephanie
sounds like this. It's like.
Dude, that was perfect.
That was the most amazing noise I've ever heard.
Yeah.
They come popping out of this machine like Smarties. Like
once you pop, you just can't stop. I need to put in hockey pucks.
They're like death Smarties just popping out, and all this gas flies out, and all the ohms start running away. Yeah. So I guess it unites them, right?
Yeah, it unites them. They escape, and they actually manage to kill a Trog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little bit later.
Is that in the same attack or no?
And by the way, Death Smarties will be playing tonight.
I thought that was
the LP release party.
Death Smarties along with.
The ohms escape the park. They murder a Trog, and they eventually end up at the garbage dump for old Trog records. Yeah, not records, rockets.
Yeah, that's right.
I think when they kill the ohm is like
one man's
he had to go out and meet the other tribe because he's warning them of the de-ohming. So he meets them. They're skeptical too, so I think they take him prisoner. And then, but after the de-ohming, they're like, all right, she's crazy. And then he shows up and they read something on the wall, right, that really tells them it's on. Is that where they just read that it's a de-ohming? And then the two ohms come by and they're like, oh, I don't remember their names. So they're like, oh, Stanley, look at these omes on the ground. Ooh, kill it, Phineas. And they're like stomping on them. And then,
And the scene with all the brutality of the Zodiac murders.
And that's where the omes got fucked up, but then they start doing the fucking up of their own. I can't make that into a cohesive sentence.
So our omes, they escape. They end up at the garbage dump where the old rockets are. And at that point, we do like a time jump where maybe 15 ohm years take place.
That's right. It was a whole season.
After cycles.
After 15 years of using the learning technology, now the ohms are able to build their own rockets, and they're now wearing kind of Starfleet-ish future clothes.
And I love how the drags are like, they mate at an alarming rate. They keep procreating.
Yeah, I thought that was I was wondering if that was also a racial thing going on, like a eugenics kind of commentary,
on the
they're
uniforms?
really obsessed with their breeding, because they're constantly the Trogs are constantly going on about their controlled breeding.
Yeah,
and they seem to be that seems to be what they constantly bring up about the ohms is they breed so wildly and indiscriminately.
Yeah, which we find out why the Trog find that so weird because eventually they discover the ohm infestation of the garbage dump with the rockets, and as they attack, the ohms fire off their 2 rockets to try and escape to another planet.
The wild planet. That's the fantastic planet, right?
That's when we actually finally get to the wild, fantastic planet. And Chad, what do they find there?
Oh, what do they find? So, I think they hide behind some rocks or something, and all of a sudden they see the red meditation balls flying in from the drags. And they're partnered up too. No, they're meeting other aliens there. It's not even with drags, isn't it?
Well,
Didn't they say
drags? I think are meeting trags from other worlds.
Okay, so they are the same species but different world. I thought it was
through astral projection and taking over headless statues to
dance.
Ballroom dance. Yeah.
But that's how they fuck and reproduce?
Yep.
It is the mystery of the dance.
Literally, their mating dance.
Yeah.
So at this point,
but not only dance. This is where the circus music I think comes in, right? I
would have loved it if it was one shot of all the ohms, oh my god.
This has her face like.
Well, this is when the ohms finally realize how they can really get their revenge, and they
got you by your big blue balls now.
They destroy some statues, and now suddenly the Trog have to take them seriously. They go, oh crap, they can end us now.
Yeah, they can stop us from reproducing.
And that's when finally peace comes to the ohms and the Trog.
They finally come together.
Mutually assured destruction gives us peace, which, as a Cold War film, maybe that's the message that, suddenly.
Yeah.
So first question, how did you guys pronounce the planet that the Trogs lived on? It's spelled Y-G-A-M.
Egam?
Gam? Is that how they said it?
Y-G-A-M?
It was like Y-G-A-M. I remember they would always be like, on Gam.
Oh.
And again, this comes down to where I can't pronounce French or Czech.
Yeah.
So I can't do. I honestly just thought Egam.
Egam? I don't even know.
Yeah. So we kind of got into it a little bit. What are some themes you guys saw on this?
The major thing that I saw that this movie kind of became apparent to me watching it the second time was it's trying to show the duality of man. That was my takeaway from it. I don't know if you guys agreed with that or not.
Well,
it shows how at the end of the day, both of these races are fighting for the same thing.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing. They're both just trying to reproduce and continue to exist.
Exactly.
But it goes into how first, you have differences in perception, the Trog or Drog. I keep interchanging those. They don't even perceive humans as sentient creatures that they should even interact with. It's not till they actually have a threat from them that they're able to even really communicate with them. It's so. You have that going on. You have kind of a lot of talk here about the way that the humans have been treated have caused them to devolve into almost savages with all sorts of tribal difficulties and different kind of odd attitudes towards one another. So it's kind of a commentary, I guess, on like how oppression can lead to things like this.
Kind of like how people say that World War I led to Germany, World War II.
Yeah. Little background on the film. They actually started making this film in 1968 in Prague, which was when Czechoslovakia was starting to open up its political system. They were more interested in working with the West. They started this collaboration with the French to make this film. And then that summer, the what was called the Prague Spring ended when the Soviet Union and some other Warsaw Pact countries invaded Czechoslovakia and reinstalled a more strict socialist government. So that's when they actually moved production of this film from Prague to Paris. Still mostly Czech animators.
So you can kind of see that in the movie. Yeah. It's kind of like an oppressive...
Yeah, you have that. You have a lot of that going on. Even though the film's based on a novel written at least 10 years earlier. I believe it's from 1952, maybe. Mm-hmm. And the film was, I believe, written by a couple of Frenchmen. But definitely, I believe the production team in Czechoslovakia had a major influence here. It's definitely their kind of style of animation, which is very different from the Disney or the Miyazaki Japanese stuff. A lot more kind of.
It's kind of got like that piece, though, doesn't it? Like that. Like kind of got this disassociation between the movie and the audience, right?
Yeah,
as Miyazaki.
But it's it's almost like a third branch of animation style that we just don't get to see a lot.
Well, yeah, we just don't talk about that much. Yeah.
I didn't know there was a lot out there. I thought it was like Terry Gilliam and maybe South Park.
Yeah, there's a lot of Euro animation and there's a lot of European comics, and I never really saw like an example of a really famous Euro comic that. There's two big Euro comics that we never read here. Dylan Dog. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie of that, but it wasn't very good.
I have definitely seen the spin-off film Cemetery Man or Bella Morte, Bella More. One of my favorites.
Yeah. But Dylan Dog is like apparently a classic, long ongoing Italian comic about he's like a supernatural detective. Mm-hmm. If I recall, it's been a while since that. But
I brought you back a comic from Italy.
Yeah, but I can't read Italian. But yeah, and then France has, among a lot of, like a whole comics industry, they've got a big one, what is it called? Valerian and Lorelei. It was made into the movie Valerian over the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Which I didn't go see. I think it was like I don't think it did well.
Luc Besson, right?
Yeah.
I would watch it. I'd watch it just because of him.
Yeah, I wanted to see it and just never got around to it.
Yeah.
But that was, they have Valerian and Lorelei, which I think has been a French sci-fi comic series that's been going on for years, like since the 70s, I guess. I've been wanting to read some of that. And then the Czech Republic has a huge animation scene.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch the stop-motion Alice?
No, I haven't seen that.
That's good. It was made in the 80s. It's pretty awesome. It's like a live-action stop-motion short
I've seen some of the more government-funded Czech animation that's funny in a propaganda-ish type way. Mm-hmm. I mean, it'll make you think of like when Krusty the Clown tried to replace Itchy and Scratchy with their Czech equivalent Worker and Parasite.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Yeah. Could you throw that Hobbit movie in with this style?
I don't know.
It's not like
made that.
I think that was Ralph Bakshi.
Yeah,
similar to Ralph Bakshi.
I think it was that maybe. I think it's the same kind of like drawing style, maybe not the same animation, but I think the drawings kind of look similar. Yeah. It's like that realistic, cartoony, scary, freaky look, you know?
Yeah. I looked up the actual studio that was involved in making this movie, which, apologies, I'm going to try and pronounce this, Jiri Trinka. They did a lot of stop-motion work, as well as some really interesting early animated films in the 40s. One of them called The Spring Man and the SS, which is surprisingly a slapstick comedy about a chimney sweep harassing Nazis. But, I mean, it's actually very interesting looking. Kind of a mixture of photography and animation. It's pretty interesting stuff. And I actually found there's a lot of videos of it on YouTube, so you can check it out there.
Hey guys, I just happened to have my phone up and I looked it up. The Hobbit movie was made. I didn't realize it was made by Rankin Bass, and it was directed by Rankin and Bass.
Really?
Who we might know.
What are the odds?
It's the animation group company behind Thundercats.
Oh, wow.
And Silverhawks.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I was like Ralph Bakshi. I don't think that's who I'm thinking. I think that's like the Fritz the Cat guy, right?
No, I have no idea. This guy's director's made a couple other animated movies, though. I don't know if you guys take a look at them. There's that Gandahar.
I watched a little bit of Gandahar.
Did you?
Yeah.
Is it good? How's the soundtrack?
So, the problem with I didn't get to watch much of it. I was
Oh.
watching part of it on YouTube. The backgrounds look great in Gandahar. Like, they look pretty awesome. The characters look a lot like in Fantastic Planet, but they're a little more humanoid. But they're blue. They got crazy outfits on. They got boobs hanging out.
So nothing.
But what I was watching on YouTube is like it was all French and there was no subtitles, so I didn't know what was going on in it. But yeah, it looked interesting. It looked kind of cool. I wish I knew what was happening in it. It was like the movie starts with this crazy scene where like this weird plant comes out of the ground, and then like this creepy like bulb comes out, and this creature drops off, and then this lady runs up, this blue lady, and happily starts breastfeeding it. And I was like,
I'm in.
I don't know what I'm watching, but I'm in. I'm committed. So, Gandahar, yeah.
So what did you think was important about this movie? Like, you know, do you consider this an important film? What do you think?
I consider it an important film because it's one of the first. I'm sure there were animated movies that dealt with complex social issues under the subtext, but I can't think of any off the top of my head right now.
I mean,
but I think it's a really good early example of like animated movies that can do more than just entertain kids.
There's a lot of stuff,
and it can do more than just tell.
It
like,
really makes you think.
Yeah, like it's a movie that's kind of crazy for kids, but I guess you could watch it if you were like maybe an adolescent kid or something. But there's also a lot of like adult elements to it.
Open your mind.
This may have messed me up if I saw this when I was a kid. What's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, I've mentioned it a lot, but I think South Park is really kind of in that same vein where you talk about, I don't know many movies that take on like government issues and stuff, but like South Park, at the end of the day, that movie, The Bigger, Longer, Uncut, end of the day, that was a movie about the First Amendment, about free speech and stuff.
Yeah.
And being able to be in control of your thoughts.
I was thinking about movies that came before this.
Oh,
I was trying to think if there were like earlier movies.
Would you say that like here in the United States, like for whatever reason, animation in this country is extremely geared towards children? You don't often see a lot of like more adult themed animated stuff, especially
that's why I think
before
this is
the 1980s.
At the time that this came out, no. Now there's a lot. Like you mentioned, South Park.
Right.
There's animated movies like Waking Life could be an example of an animated movie that's made for adults.
Yep.
All right.
But yeah, at the time this came out, I mean, this won the grand prize at Cannes. It was probably groundbreaking when it came out in just terms of like expressing these ideas.
Did you notice some of the stuff in the trailer, like the endorsements, like 17 magazine, which I just can't believe. That 17 magazine
used to be a hit magazine, I guess.
I guess so.
High Times rates this one 5 out of 5. Rene Laveau, is that how you say his name?
Mm-hmm.
Gandahar. I thought this was kind of interesting because I saw it was based on the novel Hommes en Série by Stéphane Wool, real name Pierre Pirault, who apparently was a dental surgeon. But he just loved sci-fi.
Yeah.
So he wrote like 10 science fiction novels on his spare time. So
pretty
the
good
takeaway from this is like follow your interests.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be successful as a dental surgeon and write the novel that's based on a groundbreaking animated movie. I was trying to think if there's other stuff that I wanted to... If there's scenes that we didn't bring up. What do you guys think about the scene when like he runs out in the crystals and then he has to learn it if you whistle? Like, was that supposed to maybe pick up that like there's things that all of his knowledge is the like sophisticated knowledge, but then there's also valuable wisdom from the...
I think it was almost like to show you that like didn't he run out there like early in the movie? It was fairly early, right?
It's like when he's first kind of introduced to the
Right.
and the tribe. And he goes
So-
running out like a dum-dum.
And I think it was supposed to show you like he didn't know any better, so he
Yeah.
just ran out there like, "Bah!" and like
Yeah.
the environment just like was going to kill him like that.
It's probably also one of the first examples of him actually showing that Ohms are able to learn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that they're able to learn. In
Well,
advance.
yeah, like the wild ohms have wisdom that they've picked up that he didn't learn from his Trog machine yet.
Yeah.
I think that's all the scenes I can think of.
Yeah, I think
soundtrack we talked about was pretty awesome.
I thought that was an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah, Elaine.
It completely put you in the mood of the movie.
Elaine.
Oh, yeah.
That was Elaine Garriguet.
who's a jazz pianist. He worked with Serge Gainsbourg.
Yep,
if
your
you've ever
favorite.
heard any of that.
Serge Gainsbourg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never
Did
heard
a
of
lot
him.
of very interesting kind of spoken word type songs with Bridget Bardot. There's a really good one about Bonnie and Clyde that if you ever get a chance, you should listen to some Serge Gainsbourg. It's some interesting stuff. So, Chad, would you recommend this movie?
Absolutely. Again, I think I'm going to say this with most of these movies. It's not going to for everyone. It's not going to be recommended to everyone in my life. My dad will hate it. But yeah, I absolutely recommend it. If I think someone would like it, then I would absolutely say, "Hey, man, check this movie out."
Yeah. I would also recommend it to people who have, like, I know you said it would screw you up if you watched it when you were a kid, but I would definitely recommend it. Like I feel like if you have a kid who's, like, into arts and they're, like, entering, like, kind of middle school age.
Yeah,
This
that'd be a great time to watch.
This is like a
movie.
great movie to, like, be like, here, watch something old,
Yeah.
and something that's old and important. It'll kind of, like, open your mind of
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
and kind of broaden their horizons, like,
Yeah.
and maybe get them into new things. This would, because kids that are into art, they probably kind of nowadays, especially, they're probably kind of can like zone in on like the stuff that's popular now. This would be a great movie to like be someone's gateway into like.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when I was like a middle schooler, I read a lot of like sci-fi from kind of the same period, the 1950s, 1960s, and that's where I got, I guess my brain opened up and into a lot of like groovy ideas and stuff. The type of stuff that's being talked about in this movie here. So yeah, I'd recommend it. Definitely is kind of an antidote to like people who have only seen like one or two types of animation, to say, hey, there's more out there. There's more out there. And there's a lot. There's a lot of thoughts.
It's not just Disney, and it's not just anime.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's more out there. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Would you see it again, Chad?
Yeah, I think I would. Sadly, I mean, I think a big reason is because it's only an hour long.
Yeah, no, it's a good reason. It's not a huge time commitment.
Yeah,
it's
and
entertaining.
And it's a movie it's one of those movies you can just throw on in the background and be like, yeah, I'm going to go make dinner, or I'm going to, surf the internet or something. It's a good movie to have on in the background, I think.
Yeah. I'd watch it again, too, because it's a good movie to show other people.
Yep.
Like somebody who's just never seen it, you can kind of bring them in and like gauge their reaction to it. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I would go with it. I mean, it's good for like one or two really close views, and then maybe if I hadn't seen it in a long time, I would go, hey, I'll watch that again. But usually, I mean, this is like something that would be really interesting to have on in the background at a party, so that people would like just kind of walk through and go, hey, what's that?
I was thinking while I was watching it, one of my dreams in life would be to have my own comic book store that's also a coffee shop, and we could have like board game night. And this would be like the ultimate movie to just have on like screens behind the bar, when like stuff is going on, like without the sound on or something. You just kind of see the visuals.
Yeah.
This and like something like that odd Italian movie Allegro non troppo with the boob tree. It's another animated European one I've seen a long time ago.
Never heard of that
And
one.
then my notes now like boob tree Allegro
Underline 6
Note
times.
Exclamation point, exclamation point.
It's
not your parents' Fantasia. Something else.
So yeah, I think we all liked it, right?
I liked it. I thought it was an excellent pick.
Yeah.
And it's one I had never heard of. When you first brought it up, I thought you were talking. I was thinking in that movie, is it Forbidden Planet?
Yeah, with
I was like,
Forbidden.
I was like, Forbidden Planet's in the Criterion Collection, and then I saw some of the pictures. I was like, oh man, this is.
Oh, what's Forbidden Planet?
It's the movie with Robbie the Robot and Leslie Nielsen's in it too. Like these people in a spaceship go to a planet that's forbidden, but where this man and his daughter live, and they're using machinery that kind of provides for anything that they can think of. And,
So it's older then?
Yeah, it's an older film. It's from the 50s.
Okay.
It actually gets into a lot of like interesting stuff about like the subconscious and things like that. So yeah, I'd recommend. Yeah, check out Forbidden Planet sometimes if you ever want to see some classic sci-fi.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
All right.
So
Anything?
Jason,
Any other recommendations or anything? Not of this movie.
So something I did yesterday, which kind of had me thinking, was, and my drive home always sucks because no one. I think Charlotte has the worst drivers.
Yeah, they really do.
Worldwide, maybe. I mean, I've seen drivers in China, and I think we're worse.
South Florida's pretty bad.
Okay. There's constantly like 2 or 3 wrecks. It should be like a 25-minute drive, but my commute home sometimes can take like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So yesterday, I finally just said, fuck this, and I stopped halfway home at Park Terrace Cinema, which shows a lot of like more independent movies. And I stopped there and I was like, I'm going to watch whatever's going to be showing until traffic dies down. And I checked out the movie My Friend Dahmer, which...
I always wanted to do that. Just go up to movie theater, like, what's showing? All right, give me the next
that's what
one.
I did. I just showed up. I was like, all right, it's $4.50. My Friend Dahmer showing at 5. Give me a ticket to it.
I don't have
That's how I ended up seeing Gone Girl. I was over by Park Road and just went, I gotta kill some time. What am I gonna do? I gotta wait on it. Hey, I'll just go in and see this by myself.
Right.
That was a good movie too.
So I recommend. I could probably talk a while about My Friend Dahmer, but I recommend the practice of impulsively going to the movie theater.
Yeah.
I love going to the movies by myself. Do you guys?
I do too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's been too long for me. I think the last time I saw a movie solo was The Place Beyond the Pines. I don't know if you guys watched that.
I think I saw that solo too.
Yeah.
I saw
there's certain movies that Stephanie's just not
into,
and I was just like, particularly like right now, just so you guys know, she's out of town, so this is like my solo movie time where I was like, all right, I saw The Place Beyond the Pines, and I think the solo movie I saw before that was called Never Let Me Go. Did you guys see that with Andrew Garfield?
No.
That was a good one. They're clones.
I got to see There Will Be Blood by myself in a movie theater.
I did too.
Oh.
That is a fun one to watch by yourself in an empty movie theater where you can just like hoot and holler with like...
I think I saw that by myself, quote unquote, but the theater was packed. So like...
Yeah. There was a lot of people. There was a lot of people.
And I had this older couple in front of me, and someone like 3 seats down like got up and slapped their chair around so it was jingling the whole row, and the woman was feeling it. She's like, they're kicking my chair behind me, and the guy's like, stop kicking our chair! And like yells at us. We're like, we're not doing anything back
there. Like a grandpa fight in the
yeah, I was like, all right. But
there was blood at this showing. If there will be blood,
there was blood, all right.
Yeah, there was blood in the popcorn.
There's blood and teeth. Right in the popcorn.
Blood and popcorn.
I get to see like the lights of the theater come on, and Chad's on the ground. There's some old guy on the ground, blood everywhere, and he's just like, "I'm finished." Yeah,
chewing on steak.
Yeah, My Friend Dahmer was good though. It's a weird movie to recommend. I don't want to get too into it, but I would say
it's about Jeffrey Dahmer, right?
Yeah. It's based on a graphic novel by this guy Durf, who used to do comics that we used to see in Creative Loafing, I think. Durf City. Well, I guess he was high school friends with Jeffrey Dahmer, him and his buddies. So, I didn't like it. To tell you the truth, I didn't like the movie as much as I thought I was going to, because I'd heard of it beforehand. I thought it was going to be about Durf and his buddies were going to be the main characters, and Dahmer was going to be kind of a supporting character. And it was going to be like their experiences with this guy and realizing... But in fact, the movie is like all Dahmer, all day, all the time. He's like in every scene. Most of the movie is him by himself. I remember like maybe like 3/4 of the way through it, I started thinking to myself, like, which person is supposed to be like, that's My Friend Dahmer? Because there's none of the other 3 guys actually are really in the movie that much. So I liked it. I would say it was a good movie if you don't know a lot about Jeffrey Dahmer and you think of him as just this like monster serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
It's good because it gives him like 3 dimensions. Like you really kind of get an idea of him as like, well, as a person, as a screwed up kid, and like his parents really kind of fail him.
As serial killers go, he's an interesting character.
Yeah.
And another place I'd say, if you want to know anything about him, check out last podcast on the Left's few episodes about him. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, but I would say it's got a recommendation for me if you're somebody who's into true crime stuff but you don't know much about Dahmer. But I would have liked it more if it focused more on other guys.
Is it like
and their
a
relationship with him?
Is it like a biopic?
It's kind of like a biopic, yeah.
Okay.
It's a little more like a Dahmer biopic.
Huh. I really love Zodiac, so
Yeah.
that stuff's really interesting to me.
Yeah, it's good. And Zodiac's the movie maybe I can compare it to, which I don't think it's as good as Zodiac. Where
Okay.
Zodiac, I think, does a really good job at taking the serial killer. Like, the movie's not all about Zodiac. It's about Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right. It's about the wake he leaves.
Yeah.
When his boat.
This movie sort of is I feel like, is a little... I like Zodiac more because I like how the Zodiac impacts the characters. This movie is like more all about Dahmer.
Right. This is Dahmer. Every shot is Dahmer,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's like he's all of it, which is fine. I thought it was interesting, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping it'd be.
Well, I guess it's time for the game. So usually we would have the game, the winner of the game, pick the next week's movie or next podcast movie. I think we're going to switch it up and just have the game be for fun, and then just kind of switch around in a circle, I guess, and whoever picks the next movie.
Yeah.
So Jason's going to pick the next movie. You do that after the game, I guess.
Let's do the game, and then maybe we can end with picking the movie.
Okay.
How about that?
Sure. So I'm going to do another 8 or 6 degrees of separation with you guys.
All right. I got my pen ready.
I'm closing my internet browser so that I'm not cheating.
Better not cheat our asses this time.
Easy, Sean Connery. All right.
70%
Be
confidence.
confident. You have to be confident.
I'm getting on you this time.
So
All right.
What are our names?
We got Javier Bardem
Yeah.
and James Earl Jones.
Javier Bard. J-E-J.
And I did not do this in one of my heads, so I have no idea what the answer is.
All right.
We'll be right back with this week's results. All right, and we're back after 6 degrees of separation with Javier Bardem and James Earl Jones.
I'm on the radio.
Hey, coming at you.
I like your intro. I remember before the last one, I was thinking about coming on like Wolfman Jack or something. That'd be my radio voice. Yeah. Oh! Hey, I was in the film prize. Hey. No.
So, Jason, you want to read out yours? What do you got?
All right.
Well, first of all, I think we should just say there was some kind of talk back and forth, and if we're going to accept voice acting or not between James Earl Jones voice acting and not voice acting movies. So I think we'd agree that's going to be a tiebreaker if someone can do it without using voice acting, but they allow it. I guess that's what we're saying.
And did you use voice acting for yours?
I used 3 films and no voice acting.
Okay. I'm going to use my no voice acting, which is going to lose. I got Javier was in No Country for Old Men with Tommy Lee Jones, who's in The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, who's in The Expendables 3 with Arnold, who's in Conan with James Earl Jones.
Very good.
So, I actually did it in 3 films where Javier is in Skyfall with Daniel Craig, who's in Force Awakens with Harrison Ford, who's in Clear and Present Danger with James Earl Jones.
Oh, Clear and Present Danger.
As well as Patriot Games and...
See, I never, I didn't
Forget
know
about the Jack Ryan
James
franchise.
I was struggling to think of a lot of James Earl Jones. It's one of those things, I was saying out of the thing when we were on break, I was like, man, there's sometimes... First, this podcast has taught me that I really suck at this game. Because whenever we come up with a really common actor like James Earl Jones, I'm like, James Earl Jones was in Conan, and he was in The Sandlot, and then my mind goes blank. So my 3 with voice acting was going to be Javier's in No Country with Tommy Lee Jones, who's in The Fugitive with Ford, who's in Star Wars with James Earl Jones as the voice of Vader.
Yep.
Yeah, I just went, let me see. I know that Ford's in... I'll use Jack Ryan movies. I'll use that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
So you win. We should keep track, I guess.
I win, but the points don't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's like, whose line is it anyway?
Just like Trump's underwear or something like that.
Yeah.
Some stupid political joke.
So Jason, what are we watching? What are we doing for next time?
Oh yeah, I get to pick the movie.
You do.
Yep. So for the movie I picked, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but I hadn't seen it, nor had I heard of it. I read about it because I mentioned the last episode during Halloween. I fell into this hole of reading articles about top 10 scary movies. So one of these articles was top 10 creepy scenes, and they mentioned a movie that came out in 1995, directed by Todd Haynes, starring a young, fresh-faced Julianne Moore, called Safe.
Huh.
Have any of you guys seen Safe?
I have
I
not.
don't believe I have.
All right.
I like Todd Haynes though.
So I'm not going to mention what scene they said was the top five. It was like a bunch of critics, and they all listed their creepiest scenes.
God damn it! Can I just ask if it's scarier than that fucking bum scene in Mulholland Drive in the beginning?
I don't know because I didn't, the scene wasn't on YouTube or something. The guy just describes it. But the movie is about, just to give a little bit of all I know about the plot is that I think Julianne Moore is maybe an upper middle class or kind of semi-wealthy lady who develops some kind of she's a hypochondriac, and I think she developed some kind of allergy to common household items and toxins or something it's extreme allergic reaction. I think she goes to some sort of health resort where she's quarantined from and it's run by some guru, and things do not very quickly realize that things are much stranger and darker than they appear on the surface.
Huh.
So I don't know much more about it than that. I might even be getting that kind of wrong, but
Do you want me to read the IMDb thing or not? Do you want
Nah,
to
we'll
read
get
it?
into it. Let's get into
experience
it.
it. I want to get the movie raw. I don't like
Okay.
to have a lot of.
I know very little about it. I haven't seen that many Todd Haynes movies. He's known for some. I want to say he did.
Didn't he do that Wonder we were looking at, or Wonderstruck?
Well, yeah, that's had me thinking
Yes.
of it too. Wonderstruck is a movie out now that I was thinking about seeing yesterday, but it wasn't showing during my impulse. But he's famous for a couple other movies. I haven't seen any of them. All I know about this movie is I think The Village Voice ranked it as one of their best movies of the 90s.
Huh.
Okay.
But I never watched it, so
All right.
Safe.
Well,
Sounds
look
great.
forward to it. All right, guys.
Cool.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Please join us next time for Safe. Alright, guys. Guess that might conclude us for this episode.
Anything else? Stranger Things 2 is overrated, I thought.
Yeah, I dug
I'll
it.
throw that in
I
there.
dug it. I liked it. Other than when she hangs out with the Invisibles.
I didn't mind her hanging out with the Invisibles as much as...
There was some badly acted scenes in there, though, but it was still
it
good
wasn't
movie,
great,
I thought.
but overall I agree with you. I was just hopefully in season 3 they start branching out a little bit more. I had this text exchange going with Chad after we finished where I was like, when are we going to start seeing some other upside down beings other than
Yeah.
giant shadow monster and Demogorgon dogs?
Yeah.
They got to somehow make the upside down world a little more compelling.
Yeah. I think they're stuck and they're really infatuated with all their characters and their actors. They're like, look how great they are. We can make them so likable. And it's
Which
like...
I'm fine with.
I love
Yeah.
the characters of the show.
That's how the
Absolutely.
characters buy, is
I have no problem with that, but it's like I like to see some kind of plot.
Yeah, I agree. So hopefully they'll branch out a little more in the next season. I'm hoping what maybe will go down is the shadow thing will start taking control of some of these 11 type people with powers. He can kind of infect people's minds with Will. That could at least make it a little more compelling if they have to then deal with
Yeah, more like bunch of 11s.
control 11,
We could get into some really cool reality messing up stuff if Kali were to show back up and be working with the shadow monster. Yeah, the mind flayer.
You mean Kali from Indiana Jones?
It's her name. It's the character's name, and she's in the Invisibles.